Actually, I'm going to have you change seats if you would. Oh, no, hold on. I'm sorry. You're right. It's been a long day. All right, this is case number 251796 SC. This is appeal from the magistrate's decision in a small claim case back on December 22nd, in which judgment was entered against Mr. Shook in the amount of $6,932.34. Now, I just want to make sure everybody's aware that an appeal from the small claims court or the magistrate means that the case starts fresh today. So anything that the magistrate considered, there's not a record of that. So anything she considered, I know nothing about. So both of you would have to present your case new today. Are you both in a position to be able to do that today? All right. So then, Ms. Little, I'll turn it over to you. But before I do that, if both of you would please raise your right hands. Do you both solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. How it works here is Ms. Little, you'll tell me what you want me to know. Mr. Shook, you'll be able to answer your questions, or I'm sorry, ask her questions, and then we'll flip it. You'll be able to tell me what you want me to know, and then she can ask you some questions. All right. So Ms. Little, what do you want me to know?
So I have paperwork, and if you need to see it, I have copies from you and Plaintiff, that I had hired him to move a cabin for me. We had all signed contracts. It was supposed to be done in 19 days. It took over 3 months. I have 100 and some emails stating, I promise you I'm gonna get this done. I would never backstab you. Finally came down to the Paul that gave me the 2 cabins. I was giving 1 cabin to him for half the payment, and I gave him the other 500 or 5,500 as he needed it.
So you're giving 1 cabin to Mr. Shook?
Yes, for half, like part of the payment that was in the agreement.
What was there an agreed upon amount to move the cabin?
Yes, he had decided that was that 5,500.
5,500, okay. All right, and the cabin you gave him as a part payment, what was the value of that cabin to be applied towards the payment?
Whatever he wanted, wished he'd do with it. If he wanted to sell it, live in it, they just both had to
Okay.
be moved off the property.
So I guess what I'm getting at is there was an agreement for 5,500. You give him a cabin. How much other money did you give him?
Altogether, it came up to 6,800 in cash.
All right. So you give him a cabin. You say, okay, this cabin is worth $5,000, $2,000.
Well, in the original paperwork I gave the other judge was they had put it up for sale for 25,000.
Who would put it up for
His
25,000?
wife, Ron Fisher.
Okay. But did you and Mr. Shook have an agreement that that cabin was worth X amount of dollars to come off the 5,500?
No, in the original agreement, it just states that both cabins would be moved. That both cabins would be moved. One would go to Cody Street and the other one wherever he wanted to move it to. There was no set price on, other than in his text messages, he picked how much he wanted paid.
Okay, so when you say how much he wanted paid, is that where the 5,500 comes
Yep,
from?
that's what he came up with.
And that's after giving him one of the cabins.
Yes. And the stuff that was in it.
Okay. All right. And so it was supposed to be done within 19 days and it took over 3 months to do that.
Yes,
Now, you also said that you gave him 68, total of 6,800.
yes.
That includes the 5,500.
That's all together, yes. There was in between $100 here, $100 there,
Okay.
extra.
And so what are you suing him for?
Our original agreement, he had said that he would move the cabins, and if not, I would get the labor and work paid back to me. And November 3rd, they got demolished. We signed a contract, if it was not moved by then, that they would be demolished.
And that agreement that you just referenced, that's the agreement you had with the original cabin owners?
Yes.
And so what date were they supposed to be moved by?
The first original date was September 10th, then we moved it all the way to November 29th.
And this is of 25?
Yes,
All right. And so the November 29th rolls around, they're not moved, so they're demolished.
well, he just kind of quit talking to me on the 29th, but prior to that, we all signed an agreement that if it wasn't moved, that his buddy that was helping him move the cabins was going to demolish them. So Matt Putman, Robert Shook, me, and Paul all signed that agreement too.
And who is Paul?
Paul Kenny is the owners of the cabins that were given to me.
And Matt Putman is who?
It was one of Robert Shook's workers.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm tracking here. So the agreement that everybody had was if these cabins aren't moved by, turns out to be November 29th, that,
Well, actually, my thing was, he told me November 29th. It actually says on my papers, November 3rd, and on the 4th, all equipment must be removed and demolished will start on November 4th, which it did.
okay, can I see that agreement? So, getting a little confused, so it's been a long day.
Okay.
Okay. So at some point, the cabins are demolished.
Yes,
Who does that work?
Matt Putman did that work.
All right. And that was pursuant to one of these agreements.
Yes.
All right. And so the judgment that you obtained, the amount of $6,932.34, I realize some of that is court costs and service, but you were claiming damages in the amount of $6,823.74.
Yes.
So can you break that down for me?
I have receipts on everything that I have paid him. And it equals up to it. These are all the receipts that I have that equals up that amount.
Can I see those, Bill? Okay, so it looks like there's a receipt from Mr. Shook. Receipt number 435305 dated September 22nd. Says received $1,500, that's circled in red, from Becky Kevin Little. Looks like it's signed by Mr. Shook. And then underneath that, written in red, there's $500 with RC and then the initials
That was
RS.
the payment that I gave him. I gave him the 500, and then he asked for another 1,000, so I just wrote it as one receipt.
Oh, so you wrote the receipt.
Between my, I'm not sure if that was my husband's or his, but yes.
And so the total paid that day was $1,500?
Yes.
All right. And then there's one 9/15. This says 23, 9/15 of 2023. Moving services, $2,000. Robert Shook, and then it's signed. Do you,
That was the, how much I gave him to start out with. In the very first one.
and is the 23 in error? Should that have been 25? September 15th of 25? It said the date is dated September 15th, 2023.
Oh, yes, 25, I'm sorry, that
All
was
right.
not, he wrote that, not me. He wrote the receipts.
And then there's a receipt number 691705 dated October 14th. It says from Robert Shook, $1,000 toward moving house, 3507 Mitchell Drive. And then it says from Becky Little to Robert Shook.
Yes,
That's another 1,000.
yes.
Then on 10/15, there's receipt number 691714 dated 10/15 of 25 for $300 from Becky Little. Says gave Robert Shook moving house.
Yes,
On October 4th, there's receipt number 691716. It says from Robert Shook, $80 from Becky Little.
yes,
On 10/3, receipt number 691710 says from Robert Shook, received $294 moving house. Handwritten, it says to, but on the line that says from, it says Becky Little by Kevin Little. Do you know what that is?
I gave him the money, was it Kevin passed it off to him, that's why Kevin signed it? Kevin's my husband. I must not have been present that day when he needed money.
And then there's receipt number 691709 dated October 15th for $1,000.
Yes.
It says from Robert Shook, paid to move house, 3707 Mitchell. And there's a sticky note that says I got 100 from Becky on 10/10/2025.
He told me he couldn't find his receipt book, this is what he gave me.
And it's signed by Mr. Shook. So the receipts out of receipt books, were those written from Mr. Shook's receipt books?
Yes,
All right. Then I have a Home Depot receipt.
that him and my son went to get lumber for, and that was on my credit card.
That is dated the 24th of September.
Yes,
It is for, looks like 12-foot 2x8s, deck mate screws, ratchet straps, pencil, and a marker for $229.74, including tax. And then there is a receipt from the city of Cadillac, received from TransSafe Trucking on 9/16 for a building department invoice of $25 and another one for $210 for a total of $235. And then there's a credit card processing fee, so it's a total of $242.05. What was that for?
without seeing the receipt, I don't know.
Bailiff?
Those were all the additional permits because I had to keep going to get permits past the dates that I already had.
So I come up adding those receipts up with 67.45.79, which has us $77.95 off.
There was other things here on my thing where we called on 10-2 for like $20 for gas. There was another one, 10-20, another $25 for gas. He just kept calling, and most of the time I didn't get receipts on those ones,
Okay.
but they were written down in my book.
All right. Anything else you'd like me to know? No?
Just would like my money back, just, he's always promised me, and he had every chance to back out of it before the foundation was poured on my property over on Cody Street. And he just kept promising me over and over saying, don't worry about it, I've got it.
Was the foundation poured?
Yep, I have receipts for that. Some other, Jason, I won't ever say his name right. Robertski's did it,
How much was that?
7,000. And the foundation still just sits there.
And was that? When did you have that foundation poured?
9:30 is when I got the receipt, so I want to go back like week prior to that, because he didn't quite give me the receipt on time. So probably on October 20th was when I got it.
So you paid for it before it got poured?
No, but he didn't have a receipt. I had to go back and get that.
Well, you said the receipt stated 9:30, but you just said it was probably poured October 20th.
Let me try to check. Sorry, there's a lot of this. There's 100.
So when did you first connect with each other and come to an agreement regarding moving the cabins?
That's on the paperwork. And the text messages. September 12th was our first discussion about it.
And is that when the agreement was reached, was September 12th?
Yes, that's when he had first. We talked about it on September 13th is when the first messages were, if you read on my paper, starts, it sucks having to figure out over the weekend, but if I had 5,500, not given any money, the cabins could be done.
And that was on the 13th.
Yep. Was
And
the
then
actual agreement.
did you respond that day saying, okay, let's go? Or, I mean, how do I know we actually have an agreement here?
The next day is when we signed that agreement at the cabins and
Okay.
he had looked over this agreement, looked over the cabins.
And so that was the 14th.
Yes.
All right. When did you set up the foundation work on Cody Street?
I have the picture when it was poured. Foundation. September 22nd is when he started putting down the boards. And on September 26th, it was all finished.
Do you know when you contacted him?
What?
Do you know when you contacted him?
Probably right after I had discussed with Robert Shook that it's feasible. I got all my permits in order.
Okay, so I guess a more direct question is, had you made any plans for the foundation to be done prior to an agreement with Mr. Shook to move the cabins?
No.
All right.
Never.
Anything else you want me to know?
Not at this time.
All right. So Mr. Shook, I'll turn to you then. What is it that you'd like me to know?
First, Your Honor, I want you to know that they didn't just find me in the yellow pages. I worked with her husband for over a year doing metal work on roofs. I take down trees. He taught me everything I know about roofs. I just started out as more of a friend favor. They came to me. Kevin's brother is a contractor here. They didn't pick anybody else. They picked me because I'm cheap, I'm just starting, you know, and they know that they asked me to do something. That's what I do for friends.
So they came to you?
Yeah, they came to my driveway that day and threw the idea at me, and I said I'd have to take a look at them. We went out to the cabins the next day. I checked them out. There wasn't really no way you could see underneath the cabins because it was so low to the ground, and the concrete's 2.5 feet thick on the bottom, and the spaces are this big. That's all you can see inside, so you couldn't really see what was underneath these cabins.
Were they in a crawl space or in a slab?
Wasn't even a really cross slab. It was just a foundation that the house was built on, and it was this thick, and it was literally, those were the peepholes inside, and it's dark in there, you really couldn't see nothing. And I told them, I said, I need 10 grand, that'd probably do it. And they said, we ain't got that type of money. I said, what's the bare minimum that you could do it? I told them 5,500 bucks. I said I could get it done if nothing foreseen happened. Well, after doing all the research, found out that the cabins roofs, they had to come off to meet height requirement. So that was something that we didn't know about. So both roof packages on 20 by 30 foot cabins had to come off and had to be totally flat to meet the height requirement. So that's all the extra dumps, all the extra man hours, labor that had to be taken care of. That was the first unforeseen thing. The second is when we finally got the jacks under and jacked up, the beach sand was this far from the rafters, all the way up. All that had to be dug out by hand because we couldn't get no machineries underneath either one of these cabins. So it was just hours upon hours upon hours of men with shovels actually digging all this dirt out, 20 by 30 feet on both sides of the cabins. That was the second thing that was unforeseen. The third was the joists that run under the floorboards in both cabins were sister joists that met in the middle. There's no way that you could lift these cabins up without them bowing in the middle, and there wouldn't be nothing left of them. So we had to put whole joists on each side of the sister joists on every one of them. And there was like 42 of them all the way down on both cabins. And then we had to run headers that were this big down 3 all the way down the rows. All that extra, that 288 bucks that she paid at Home Depot for wood, that wasn't even a tenth of what the cost was for the wood that had to go underneath there and the man hours of putting it under there. By that time, that the $5,500 was never an agreement towards my payment. That was for labor, that was for material. The only thing that I was getting out of this deal was a cabin and a promise of another $1,000 later on down the road when she got back on her feet. That's all that was promised out of this. I didn't want to sell the cabin, but I had to do 3 tree jobs just to help pay and take that out of my family's mouth to help get these cabins done. And I've been blasting on Facebook, overheard cattle, overheard Traverse City, overheard BC, back trails. People are threatening me, my family, like all this stuff. All I was doing is trying to help out a friend. $5,500. The average cost is $28,000 per cabin. They had a person before me, and the price that they gave them, I guess, wasn't what they wanted to hear. So they came and asked me. I don't do this stuff. I moved one shed my whole life. I cut down trees for a living, but I got insurance and I'm a friend, and they know I was just up and starting, and I'll do anything for my friends. The money I paid out was the money that was supposed to keep me through the winter. those last 5 tree jobs that I did, every single cent went into that.
How much did you pay out?
I have, like, I don't keep receipts like that. Everything I did was through Cash App or Chime, how I paid my guys. Like, it was probably double what that $6,800 is. The tree jobs alone, I did one for the homeowner, $1,200. I did a $5,500 job. I did a $2,800 job. And the one in Wellston was like another $1,200. All that money, my wife didn't see a cent of that. It all went to paying these guys. The $5,500, all them text messages, is because I had to chase the money. I didn't get $5,500 like, here you go, here's, get the job done. No, I had to call. I need this, I need gas, I need, these guys are gonna walk off, I gotta pay them. Give me something, it was a fight every way I went, and
So I want to talk a little bit more about the $5,500 in the cabin. Was that the agreement to begin with? Is that you would take a cabin and additionally it would cost $5,500 barring any unforeseen circumstances?
right, exactly.
Okay.
But the $5,500, I figured my foreman, Matt, he's the one that knew everything. He said he'd help me out through this. Me and him discussed it. He wanted $1,000 and he'd stick with me until the end. I said, cool. I left $4,500. I figured I could pay wages and the material, a little bit of material and gas. And the biggest cost I thought was going to be the movers. I thought, because I did the research and they're all talking, $2,200, $2,800 to be moving. And at the end, I didn't have that to do that. I had to go and buy this truck for $7,000, put the $1,000 that I had left down on it, and eat the rest of it. It's sitting in my driveway right now, and I'm paying payments on it. I can't even drive it
What was the truck for?
to move them. The 26-foot flatbed C5500 Sierra top kit.
How did you plan to move them when you gave the quote?
Excuse me.
How did you plan to move them when you gave the quote?
That's
made
what
the
I did,
agreement?
at $2,800. I figured be $25,000 from that and the rest for a little labor. Didn't think that was gonna be like that. When I got them
You
off
told
the
me.
ground,
Oh, no, hold on.
when I got them off the ground and that beach sand was this far from the top, I was like, there was no bottom to it. All that extra time, putting them jacks up, they'd sink down 3 inches overnight. It was just time consuming, and everything was just hard labor. And I couldn't work past dark. The homeowners would not allow it. So I'm only working from time to time. And then it's getting later in the year, it's raining, and the walls are caving in on cabins, we can't get them up. It was just a lot. And I did my best. I worked myself, literally hurt myself doing this. And my buddy Matt, my foreman, at the end was seeing like it might not happen. And he went to the homeowner and told him that it's very unsafe, which has been unsafe the whole time. And he don't feel like we should be doing it no more. Hey, can I get the demolition contract? That was an agreement of mine at all. He backdoored on me on that and tried to save himself. At that last contract, they said, listen, it's done this or the demolition's coming. When that day was done at 5 o'clock, it was done. She knew it, I knew it, everybody knew it. That was the last extension. I got all the extra extensions. I did a tree job for him, 2 tree jobs for him to seal the deal on these extensions. It was,
The tree job for the property
the
owner?
property owner. Yeah. I took down 2 huge pine trees over high power lines for $1,000. When these are $5,000 jobs, I did it for $1,000 to secure these extensions,
At any point, did you say this just can't be done?
Once you're $5,500 out of your pocket and they're all in, and I see they're dragging, I don't want to let down my friends, But that wasn't until like the last 2 weeks to where it was really touch and go, like, but that last day, they were jacked up. The Bobcat came in, smoothed it all out. All I needed to do was back up underneath it and call a tow truck to hook me up with the winch and pull me out.
So when was the last day?
Um, the last contract, we did that like 4 or 5 days before the last day. But the last one were mapped up and signed it. All of a sudden he was there to sign.
And so that was the 29th was when they had to be moved by of November. So when are you saying they were ready to be moved?
The first, maybe 3 more days, they're done. That's all it was. He said, absolutely no more deadlines. Don't even ask. That was it.
Okay, but you said they were all jacked up and just need to be backed under and towed. So at what point were they all jacked up and ready to go?
The last day of the deadline, they're good to go.
So you're saying November 29th, they were all jacked up and ready to go? So why were they not moved on the 29th?
Because it was rain on daylight. It was right there. When we got underneath those, let's see, my foreman quit. Matt quit for the 3 days to the deadline. He just didn't show up, so I went and looked for him. He said, I can't be no more help to you. You were paid to do a job. He said, you stick it out to the end. Like, I've been doing tree jobs this whole time to help support this. Like, I don't know your idea, you know, you're my foreman. Like, you've been lead the whole time. You're just gonna quit and leave me the ball. And then when we get under there, he put a 12.5-foot bed on my truck. When we get under there, the headers are 14 feet out. It was like, I needed another day or two to move those headers in because they're 500-pound headers, you know, that run 30 feet up down the cabin. And the only thing I can think of is he's seen that he messed up on the measurement, put it out, you know, 1.5 feet on each side, and the truck wasn't going to touch the headers.
So are you saying it was the 3 days before that it was discovered that headers were not correct, or are you saying it was?
Before.
Okay, so we're talking about
Day
the
before the
20.
deadline, yep.
So we're talking like the 28th.
Yeah.
All right.
I needed two more days, move them headers, truck under there and call Peterson's, and it was done. That's all I needed.
Well, I guess I'm confused because you said that on the 29th, everything was ready to go, but you were out a day late, which was the last day that they could be moved, but now you're saying you needed a couple
If I
more
had,
days.
if we had 6-7 more hours of daylight of a day, we could have got the headers moved, you know, 1 more day, call Peterson's, it'd have been done.
So it wasn't ready to go on the 29th. It wasn't that you just ran out of daylight. It
Right,
wasn't ready to
yeah.
go.
But daylight stops at what, 5 o'clock?
No, I get that,
5:30? Yeah.
but I mean,
No.
you just said you needed another day or
I
so.
didn't need another day.
Okay.
Another day.
These receipts that we have up here, do you agree with those amounts?
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm not saying that those amounts ain't right, but they're saying like that was part of my payment. That's not my payment. That was for this job that, you know, I'm helping out a friend. Like, I just don't understand like how they can say like I put it in my pocket and I went and splurged and partied or something with it, you know?
Bailiff, can I see just the contracts again? I don't want the text messages, just the contracts.
No, the contract, it says that she's gonna give me a cabin in the deal, but the first contract says that they're not her cabins to give me until they're off his property. You know, it's like.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Okay, so I have some questions. The first agreement between Paul and Marie Kenny and the Littles. And then it looks like it was originally set up to be Trans Safe Trucking Company with Jim Collins as the
Yes, it
president.
was.
Is that who Mr. Shook was referring to before, who
Was supposed to do it.
was supposed to do it? And so that would explain why Trans Safe is crossed out in the
Yes.
agreement. All right,
Because at the time, Paul lives in Grand Rapids, and instead of typing up a new one, he said, cross it out, fax or make copies and give it to my neighbor, and he'd come get it. We took pictures of it as we did it.
and
It's
so
all there.
in paragraph 1, it says, essentially it's talking about the surrender of cabins 1 and 2, the ownership. And then it says, at a date and time convenient to Little between September 10th and 29th, 2025. September 29th is crossed out and October 10th is written in.
Yep, that was the first,
Let me get my question out. Who did that cross out?
I did, we were all on the phone with Paul.
And was that before, after, or during the signing of this contract?
That was after he said I needed some more time. I called Paul. He said you got until the 10th. So I scratched it out. Robert was sitting there. We signed them
Okay.
and I sent the copy up to Paul.
And so on the bottom underneath your signature is written October 10th, 2025. That's the date that you signed?
Yes,
And is that the date Mr. Shook signed as well?
yes, on the back piece. No, the back piece is where he had signed stating he was going to, oh, sorry. No, this was just when he was gonna redo my ceilings.
Okay. And so had Mr. Little signed prior to that?
Yes, he only signed the original one when it probably have been September 14th. Because when we all went out to look at the cabins is when the original first got signed by Kevin, me, and Robert.
On the top of the agreement, it's written in moving date between October 6th or 7th in Robert Shook's care. Who wrote that?
I did. He was standing there when I signed them.
And so when was that written on there?
That had to have been the second time we talked to Paul and he gave us another extension.
Well, but this predates the 6th or 7th, comes before it was supposed to be moved between September 10th and October.
Yeah, he had a lot, like Paul was making arrangements with me and then Robert was calling
Okay,
Paul at the
so-
same time, kept changing.
Okay, but I need to get this time frame down because that's kind of important to this. So the original agreement is presented by Kevin was from September 10th to the 29th.
Of September, yes.
And then you're saying on October,
10th was the extension when Robert took over the contract.
so how was he to remove on
Because
October?
he had all those times between September 29th until the 6th or 7th. That was the
So
first,
when did Mr. Shook sign this contract?
on the 14th. September 14th,
How do you know that?
because that's the day we all met at the cabin and made the agreement.
Okay, so September 14th, everybody met. And that's when this agreement was originally signed.
Yes. Oh, it was just me, my son, and Robert. Kevin was not there that day.
Had Kevin signed it before that?
After.
After. right. And then at some point you have a conversation with Kevin and it's decided that you would have until October 10th to move it.
Yes,
Okay. So this moving date then written at the top that says October 6th or 7th.
that is the date that him and Paul came up with because he was in conversation with Paul. Paul is the owner of the cabins. So when him and Paul got into a conversation that I didn't know about, that's when they came up with the final date will be October 10th.
So did Paul and Marie ever sign this agreement?
They're the ones that came up with the agreement that we
But-
signed.
Okay, but did they sign it?
No.
Okay. So they didn't sign it, that's other than this very truly yours printed.
Right, that's just theirs.
All right.
But the 6th and 7th was when he had called Paul on his own. I didn't know about it, and I turned around a text message saying, nope, I have until the 10th now. So that's when I scribbled it out. Made him copies, made Paul copies, that was the new date.
And then so underneath paragraph number 4, it's handwritten. So cabin A leaves the property. It is under Robert Shook's care. And then below that next paragraph, there's another handwritten note that says, or we are reimbursed for labor and work paid.
Because I kept saying you can bail out or give up, and that's why I hadn't, we wrote this in front of him.
Okay, when was that written?
That one was on 10/2. October 2nd, because at the same time I had him write that he would redo the or the drywall on the ceiling when it fell in from the rain.
So the handwritten notation, or we are reimbursed the labor and work paid, what does that refer back to?
I was just saying if anything happened, I would, and if he wasn't gonna follow through, that I'd like my money back.
Mr. Shook, do you remember that being added to the agreement?
I remember when the ceiling fell through, it was on their honeymoon. I don't know exactly what date that was. I guess all you gotta do is, that's when they got married.
Do you know what I'm referring to here when bailiff, can you show this to Mr. Shook?
And this is the paper that we signed on the first day.
Okay, and so what I'm talking about is down there at the bottom where it says, or, I don't remember the exact language, we're reimbursed for cost paid, basically is what it's saying. Do you remember that?
I don't remember the rating.
Do you remember having that conversation?
We've had conversations about if something fell apart on the road, would, you know, my insurance cover it, this, that, you know. What type of conversations, it was always about what my insurance would cover and. We had so many conversations about it, I can't really say that I remember a specific one.
Do you dispute that that was an agreement that you had, that handwritten notation?
Yeah, I just, that doesn't make sense.
So Ms. Little, I want to turn back to you then. Can you give me some more detail as to how that came about and was added to the agreement?
It was the same night, if he doesn't recall, if it helps him any, he had, that's not, this is the original one, to where we were sitting on the front porch talking about they have to leave under your premises, if anything happens, I somehow got to get money back to pay Gage, and then he says, don't worry about it, I've got the ceiling, and that's when he signed it. It was the same date, and I dated it on the back when we did the front part.
All right, what we're gonna do is, because we're gonna run out of time, we're gonna have to adjourn this hearing and reschedule it for a continuation. Is that something we can do on the 23rd?
Mhm.
All right. I'll do 10:30 to 12, just to be safe. So we're gonna reset this for the 23rd, starting at 10:30. We'll reset it for another hour and a half just to be safe.
I worked that morning, I don't get done.
Okay. What's another? You get done at what time?
2:30.
Will 3 o'clock work for both of you? Mr. Shook, will that work for you? Okay, we'll set it for the 23rd then at 3 o'clock. Bailiff, can I get that copy back? And what we're going to do is I'm going to get copies of these. Copies of those. Bailiff, can you return these to Ms. Little? Okay, parties can go out to the front window, get their next court date, and we'll reconvene on the 23rd. Thank you.